What's up, guys? It's your man Donovan Sharp, and welcome to this episode of The Sharp Reality. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Donovan_Sharp, and you can also visit thesharpreality.com anytime to check out other episodes of TSR, which can also be found on YouTube by doing a search for Donovan Sharp, as well as iTunes and SoundCloud. If you'd like to support the show without putting a dent in your wallet, all you got to do is bookmark the Amazon link on the right-hand side of our homepage and do your Amazon shopping through that link. And you can also leave a little something in the tip jar toward the bottom of that page. There are a lot of fake alpha males running around out there who like to talk a lot of shit about fucking a bunch of chicks, or how they've got 7 bitches in their rotation, or any other brand of bullshit these guys like to talk about. Most of these dudes are online, and they like to frequent message boards. Some of these guys are people we know ourselves, but if some of us look in the mirror, we might find that we ourselves possess a few of these wannabe alpha traits. Another group of people who have some of these fake characteristics are extreme MGTOWs. This is men going their own way. Now understand, I'm not talking about most MGTOWs who actually contribute and bring value and solid information to the manosphere. I'm talking about the MGTOWs who have given up on life, they've gotten fat, they play World of Warcraft 18 hours a day and do nothing but complain about everything without actually getting off their asses and doing something about it. These are the dudes who genuinely hate women. Then they turn around and shame men for trying to fuck women, knowing damn well they'd go full retard and give their right arm to fuck any female who gave them any sort of attention regardless of what she looked like. My fellow writer at Return of Kings, Corey Savage, labeled this mindset, this bottom-dwelling sector of MGTOW as almost like male feminism. So I'm going to point out a few fake alpha characteristics that these guys have that hold them back from grabbing life by the balls and thriving as a man. And look, gentlemen, I used to be one of these guys, especially in the beginning of my red pill renaissance. Now, obviously, things are much different now, but every so often, even I slip into some of these tendencies. I mean, look, I'm human. It happens. But so long as you're aware of what these tendencies are and check yourself when you catch yourself doing these things, they won't become bad habits. So let's go ahead and get started here. Number 1, you are all talk and no show. You're the guy who can quote all the pickup lines. You know all the answers to shit tests. You know all the red pill lingo. You're constantly telling your buddies all women are like that. You're never getting married or having kids. Bitches ain't shit, etc., etc. But when the rubber meets the road, and you find yourself actually sitting next to an attractive woman at the laundromat or at a coffee shop, you freeze like a deer in the headlights, like the little bitch you are. Guys, you can read as many sites on the manosphere as you want. But if you don't actually apply what you've learned, it's all pointless. It doesn't make any sense. Stop debating pickup theories on 17 different blogs, and for the love of God, stop bombarding your buddies with red pill jargon. They may still be blue pill, they may not be unplugged, but they also know that you're still just as much piss and wind as they are. Until you actually get off your ass and start talking to girls on the regular, you're not going to change their minds, so quit bugging them with that shit. Number 2. You dismiss new ways to meet girls to cover up your fear of rejection. You're the guy who talks shit about Facebook, Tinder, or text game. You like to claim that you only approach girls face to face because that's what real men do. Guys, wake the fuck up. It's 2017. There are many more than one way. There's more than one way to skin a cat. And if you're not taking advantage of technology to score the easy pussy that's out there, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're also doing the sluts out there a disservice who are putting themselves on a platter for you. Now, I'm as guilty on this one as anybody. Now, granted, there's certainly nothing like the rush that comes from cold approaching a girl, striking up conversation with her, number closing her, and fucking her that night or the night after. There is something to be said about the excitement of putting your balls on the line and going for broke with a female. There's no doubt about it. That said, I know, guys, that at some point in the not-too-distant future, I'm going to have to get online if I want to keep adding notches. Girls these days are becoming increasingly difficult to talk to because they're looking at their phones all day. They've got ADD. It's almost like they've forgotten how to actually have a conversation with an actual person in the flesh. The other reason I need to get with the program is that the older I get, the busier my schedule gets. So why not just skip the bullshit and start swiping for pussy like everybody else? It saves money, time, frustration. All of those are your most valuable commodities as a man. So you need to get with the times, myself included, and start taking advantage of all the easy pussy out there. If all you have to do is install an app and be horny, there's really no reason not to. Number three, you're always looking for an easier way to digest the red pill. I know plenty of people like this. These are the guys who've been on the fence about the red pill for years. They know sexual relations between men and women are fucked up. But when reading sites like Return of Kings, Illimitable Man, or IllimitableMen.com, or listening to podcasts like this, they think to themselves, yeah, he makes a good point, but there's gotta be a better way. Guys, you think you can compromise and be red pill, all right? You think you can you think you can give girls the best of both worlds, but that's not working for you either because you're still not getting laid. Girls are still using you for validation. They're still using you for a shoulder to cry on when they get fucked and chucked by another douchebag, and yet you still want to delay completely digesting the red pill. And listen, guy, look. If you're a man and you're listening to this, and I'm describing you, look, man, like I get it. I really do. It is extremely difficult to change your mindset and your actions when you've been brainwashed your entire life to treat girls a certain way and to think of them in a certain light. But but we've all been burned on multiple occasions. The writing's been on the wall for years, and at some point, you're just going to have to realize that being yourself and treating women like princesses it's not going to cut it. The hard truth is there is no purple pill. Guys, you can't be the alpha males girl. You can't be the alpha male girls want to fuck and the kind, sensitive, attentive beta schlub. It is either one or the other. If you aren't unplugged, you're still plugged in. There's no in between. Make a choice. You can either digest the red pill or spit it out and ignore the truth. It can't just rest on your tongue for the rest of your life, guys. It doesn't work that way. Number 4. All you focus on is getting pussy, okay? The beauty of the manosphere and red pill awareness at large is that it teaches men how to improve our lives in all aspects. We talk about financial shrewdness, physical fitness, style, mental strength, etc. Because if a man makes good financial decisions, if he keeps himself in good shape, if he dresses well, if he isn't easily rattled by nonsense, he'll have more success with women as a natural side effect. Now, don't get me wrong. You still have to learn game, you have to develop frame, and you have to know what to do when you're around attractive women. But if you haven't improved yourself in those areas, you're not going to get many chances to use that game in the first place, if at all. Now, when you're new to the red pill and focus only on picking up chicks, you are putting the cart before the horse. Now, sure, in the beginning, you'll have a little success because you've learned a few remedial techniques, but before long, you will plateau, meaning you're probably only banging 5s and 6s because you haven't improved in other more important areas. Again, I fell into this trap when I first took the red pill. All I concentrated on was girls and nothing else. In episode 25, I talked about the first chick that I ever approached with red pill game. I just walked up, introduced myself, struck up conversation, got her number, and arranged a meetup. Simple, right? Well, she ended up flaking on me, and looking back, it's probably because I didn't have everything buttoned up. I was out of shape, my confidence was shaky, I just wasn't the man that I am today. It's been years since I approached it's been years since I approached that chick at the grocery store, I remember. But since then, I've gotten myself into much better shape, my financial outlook is stronger, and my frame is rock solid. Now, had these things been in place when I approached her, she may not have flaked on me. I may have actually been able to close the deal that night. One never knows, but my odds obviously would have increased because my game, frame, and everything would have been tighter. The point is that focusing on the acquisition of pussy and leaving everything else by the wayside will eventually come back to bite you in the ass. When you hit a slump with girls, and trust me, you will, you're going to sink into depression, you're going to start to doubt yourself, and eventually you'll start to wonder if red pill truth is really the truth. But If you're lifting, if you're reading, if you're writing, if you're making smart financial decisions, taking up productive hobbies, etc., a temporary dry spell with girls, it's not going to phase you. Really, if anything, it'll help you to focus even more on these areas, which will in turn lead to more and sustained success with women in the long run. Number 5, you are a hater. This is where you start to fall into the basement dwelling sector of the MGTOW category. And again, I want to make that distinction. Most MGTOWs aren't like this, but there is a section of these guys who are just fat, angry losers who call men vagina worshippers for really just doing what our Y chromosomes are telling us to do, which is to chase and fuck pretty women. They like to shame us because they know they can't do it and don't have the discipline or motivation to learn game. These are the dudes who call O.J. Simpson a beta because he killed his ex-wife for getting fucked by another football star, claiming that he had one-itis. Never mind the fact that he was literally swimming in pussy before, during, and after his marriage to Nicole. As far as these dudes are concerned, Simpson had one-itis, which automatically makes him a sniveling beta, despite living a life most men can only dream about. There are also idiots out there who would call a man like Vladimir Putin a bitch boy because they find out he maybe likes show tunes. What they like to do is they like to look for one beta trait in a dude who's kicking life's ass and use that one incident or that one beta trait as a referendum on his entire life and legacy. Don't be that guy. Don't be the hater who shames his buddy because he's using women for sex. Put down the controller, stop eating Cheetos, turn off the fucking porn, come up the basement, and start living life the way it was meant to be lived as a man. Now, if that's not what you want to do, cool. But stop talking shit about men who actually live a life of dominance as a way to cope with the fact that you're a fucking loser. Quit being a keyboard gangster, go fuck your blow-up doll, and leave the real men alone. Okay, let's get to some Q&A. Mike writes in regarding episode 36, Why Testosterone Replacement Therapy Will Change Your Life. He writes in, thanks so much for the show on TRT. It was the best show I have ever heard on this topic. Glad to hear a discussion without the BS. You guys are great. I actually made an appointment earlier this week with a doctor to get my blood work done, and to see where I'm at. I'm still a little nervous about it, but now it is full speed ahead. Great show. Yeah, good for you, Mike. A lot of men out there are nervous about testosterone replacement therapy and are largely ignorant about it, which is why myself and I am, the founder of IllimitableMen.com, did that episode. And for any man out there who is still on the fence about testosterone replacement therapy, check out episode 36 and make an appointment with your doctor like Mike did. You're welcome in advance. Rodrigo V writes in about episode 41, how overgaming women can hurt your prospects. He says, quote, I heard your recent podcast about gaming too much, and honestly, you are right. I spent too much time with my girlfriend, and she started ignoring me out of nowhere. She even told me that we needed a break, but my concern is if there is a way I can get her back. I was thinking of improving myself and not contacting her for a while. I don't know if this is the right approach or not, but any advice would be helpful. Yeah, Rodrigo, this happens all the time. Girls hate it when guys are too available. That's one of the beta traits. They want the unreachable star. The reason for this is that women want to work for your attention so they know it's worth something. If you're around her all the time and giving her your time and attention for no reason at all other than that she's sucking your dick and fucking you, even if she's doing it at that time, what she'll do is she will mentally check out and find a guy who makes her work for his attention. When she told you she needed a break, she already had someone in mind and was probably already fucking him. Now, you're on the right track with improving yourself and cutting off all contact. That is the right approach. And I'll also tell you that I've advised a lot of men who were in similar situations to yours. They lost the girl, wanted her back, and improved themselves. What ended up happening most of the time was because they increased their value, they had success with better-looking women. And because of this, their ex-girlfriends were no longer attractive to them because they were getting attention from hotter women. Best case scenario is that you improve yourself, you start fucking higher quality chicks, and you use your ex as a side chick. Look, you might not think that's a possibility now, but trust me when I tell you that if you improve yourself and increase your value, you'll be laughing to yourself when you're telling your ex you've got plans you can't hang out with her that night. That's really the kinds of things that happen. That does it for this episode of The Sharp Reality. If you have questions, comments, show ideas, or personal stories you want to tell me about, hit me on Twitter at Donovan_Sharp, or go to the contact tab on my website, thesharpreality.com, anytime. Thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.